I've been in the business, in the web business, in the web technology business right from the start. I discovered the web in 1994 while I was working at the European Space Agency. My background is an aerospace engineer. And I was totally blown away by what I saw back then, which was the very primitive version of the commercial web that we know today. But I could see, things that were coming. So with my wife Mary, we decided that it would be worth trying it. And well, we've been on board ever since. Very, very early, so I did everything, and I know everything about the web, from the underlying transmission technologies, IT. But very early on, I caught on to, let's say, I caught the passion of search. So I started my first web optimization activity was in '97, and there it's been a continuous and constant progression towards today, where we are today, here in Billings. Why is SEO important today? I think SEO is important. It's important today, and it will always be important. There's a constant debate that comes on every now and again. SEO is dead, and long live SEO, etc., etc. But it's important because as the amount of information grows, the amount of pages increases exponentially day by day. We need to focus our attention also on making our content findable and comprehensible. I think that those are the two important things that anybody who writes something should understand, because it's not trivial, to index, to identify, and then to match what you have to offer, what you have to say, to what people are actually looking for. In this respect, SEO is definitely a thing to look at. Looking at things, is it more important or is it less important? It's probably more important, because as the amount of information out there is growing so fast, it becomes more and more competitive. Every area becomes more and more competitive. So the more the search agents understand what you're actually about, what you're talking about, what your products or services you have to offer, the better idea they have of that, the better chance you have at having your product, your service in front of the right person at the right time. Looking forward, the direction and where we're going, there are two buzzwords that are gaining momentum, and that everybody within the next few months, or at the most 1 to 2 years, will have to deal with. And these two words are AI and machine learning. Artificial intelligence and the capacity that machines have to learn. So we're looking at training, basically, computers to understand and to anticipate and learn, basically, off of the experience that we as people can actually transmit to them. Now, with these things in mind, it becomes important to be in line with what's happening. So all of this intelligence and machine learning rely heavily on the fact that the information has a common denominator and has a common way of being transmitted, and the whole underlying concept of enabling all of this machine learning lies in the fact that we provide an additional level or layer, if you like, of meta information that is highly structured, so that we significantly reduce ambiguity, eliminate uncertainty, and we provide context, which is something that a machine does not understand. A machine crunches numbers. Machines suck, basically, at understanding words, understanding everything that is related to a word. Words that have different meanings. So that's the real issue of structured data, also providing that context that people understand because the context of a discussion is understood, or the context of an article is understood. Machines don't understand. Machines understand what we tell them. If we do not tell them, they do not understand, which is a big problem when people write normally, because it's understood normally, because there is context, and so as people we understand. Machines do not understand. Structured data is in fact a much more sophisticated. Structured data is basically meta tags on steroids. So let's be practical with an example. For the travel industry, images or video are the workhorse. So they do a lot of work, and they're fundamental in any aspect of communication, for that matter. So with let's say traditional SEO, you have an alt tag, and in basically around 100 characters, you need to put together so much that it's basically impossible. So with structured data, we can provide information about the image, technical aspects of the image or the video, the location where it was actually taken, the person that actually shot it, and because of all of the properties that we can attribute to that, there's a wealth of information that we can communicate and transmit and make available to a search engine to actually understand everything there is to understand about that video or that image, and serve it to the right person at the right time, because that's what it's all about now. We're going towards a web of niches, very, very focused, because of all of the traffic. So I think anybody who wants to be successful needs to identify an exact niche where they want to work, concentrate on that, and be very focused on that, and they will be successful. Why should we provide structured data? If the machines are intelligent, they should understand these things. Well, the fact is that machines are not born intelligent, they are born dumb. They are dumb, and they always will be dumb. They are as intelligent as we train them to be. We may certainly head towards an era where we will be able to interact, and machines will understand natural language as we speak it and as we read it. But there is certainly an interim period of time, 5, maybe 10 years, maybe less, but it also may be more, where we actually need to foster this process. And fostering this process means providing this additional layer or layer of meta information to make it easier for the machines to understand what it is that we are trying to communicate or offer, provide. SEO moving forward, it's going to become a more complex operation. I think the future of SEO is becoming a combination of technical aspects. So what we're talking about, which is more on the technical side, less on that of the content creator, but also related to making it easier to consume information on behalf of the user. So user experience is something that is very much talked about, but rather neglected. And well, of course, being the old school man that I am, I see the benefit in having touched on many different aspects: the technologies, the human interface, content creation, and I think the real added value is in having all of that experience. Today there seems to be a fragmentation. So you have specialists in content, specialists in lead generation, specialists in email marketing, etc. may be wrong, but I see an excessive fragmentation in the whole profession. I think what the end user needs is not a room full of people who deal with very specific issues. They need someone who can give them guidance at a higher level and deal with one person who has more generic knowledge. Yoast is definitely already in the space. It's doing a decent job. I've seen the plugin move forward significantly. I think it's okay for a beginner and for somebody who does not have too much, let's say, ambition, at least in the start. They want to get some structured data on their blog, on their WordPress blog. It is a way to move. It is not, let's say, completely, let's say, tech-free in the sense that you need to know nothing about it. There is still a learning curve. You need to invest resources and time in studying and understanding how this works for the plugin to be most effective. But then this goes back to the fact that it is getting more complex. The whole environment in which we are working, and it's part of, let's say, the evolution of the web. So it was simpler. It's getting more complicated or complex, and I mean, that's life, isn't it? I mean, it's part of the evolution. So you must adapt. So the steps for a small and medium enterprise to take in order to undertake such a task. To start, I think you need a reliable partner, an external, or decide to have somebody in house do this. Not necessarily a programmer. People tend to think that this is a software issue, when in actual fact it isn't. You do not need to know any code. You do not need to be a programmer to do this. You need some analytical skills, because what you need to do is rethink your digital presence, your digital assets, in terms of what it is exactly about, and try to create a model of your entire website. This model is this sophisticated, let's say, metadata that we're talking about. So, as we mentioned, the meta tags on steroids. So it's like writing complicated meta tags. So I think this is really the skill that you would need, and just start experimenting. Start working on your homepage, look at the different areas, try to identify little standard procedures that you can use for different segments, different categories within your website, and then start implementing. You'll make mistakes, everybody does. But that's the only way to do it. Take it step by step. Google has recently announced at Google I/O 2019 the launch of a new service related to images. What they're saying is that they're going to feature high-definition images, and to make it more understandable, they're asking everybody to provide the images with a JSON LD file. Now, this JSON LD file is then structured data, where we provide additional information about the image. So I think that is a pretty strong signal that we are definitely moving in a world of meta tags on steroids, if you like. And if we do this, my experience shows me that in doing this, Google rewards you with higher quality in traffic. There's no doubt about that. This doesn't mean that you're going to get more traffic. You're going to get more relevant traffic. So it's like a shop with having thousands of people walking in front of it and very few coming in to purchase something. compared to another one that has very few people, but 1 in 2 walking in, purchasing something and leaving. I'm pretty sure that everybody would find desirable the second situation and scenario compared to the first. So implementing structured data comes at a cost, but there are undoubted benefits that come from this, and one of them is immediate is the change in the keyword profile. So if the website had some ambiguity issues, where Google wasn't exactly sure about what the website was. Once this is done and it's done properly, you'll notice a change in the profile. So there can be an increase in keywords because Google has suddenly understood what you are actually about, and so will provide more relevant traffic to you on that specific topic, and that's a scenario. There could be another scenario where the ambiguity was attracting dirty traffic, irrelevant sessions, so that traffic will disappear. So your traffic will go down in that case, but your CTR, your click-through rate, will raise significantly, and that's a great benefit. And so comparing traditional SEO and then adding an additional layer of structured data, this is something that will definitely happen. This does not mean that you will increase your rankings, though. There can be cases where once all of this has happened, that you have actually implemented correctly structured data, you will find that your CTR has gone up, but you may find that your average position on some keywords has gone down because Google has understood exactly what you are about. But there are other 250 ranking factors that are not working in your favor and are favoring perhaps your competition. So you know exactly where you stand, but at that point then you have to work on other things, on gaining link popularity or on creating better content, because the structured data does not influence what you are saying or how you are saying that. Well, here at TBEX I'm having a great time, and I really wish to thank the organization and especially Rick Calvert for inviting me. It was Rick, talking to Rick over the last year in 2018. We met because I have organized SMXL in Milano for 3 years, and we crossed paths, let's say, and we had been talking, and I mentioned to Rick what I had been doing, my activities, and Rick was very curious to know more about it, and so I explained. And so Rick said, hey, why don't you come over to the next TBEX? I would like to have you and have a workshop and speak about this stuff. And I said, yeah, why not? And so here we are.